Over the years, I've owned several BMWs, and one model that I'm quite fond of is the BMW X3. In fact, I've owned two of them. So this year, when I found out that the X3 was going to have an M version, yeah, I was pretty excited. Here it is. This is the X3 M. One thing I like about this X3M is its styling. It is understated. You can tell it's different than a regular X3, but it's not over the top. First of all, you have black trims. You see the black surrounds over on the kidney grills. You have these two large openings for the intercoolers and a black bottom valance there. You have active LED headlamps in the front. The black continues on for the mirrors and this side vent here. Standard are these black M wheels. You can see the M calipers. These are 4-piston, 15.6-inch rotor brakes on there. All the window molding and the roof rail is also black. Comfort access is standard on all X3Ms. Little touch there, there you go. Move on to the back, you have this deck lid spoiler. You can't miss the X3M Competition badge on the back, and of course those quad exhaust tips. This X3M has the hands-free power liftgate option, a simple kick right there, blinks, and up it goes, just like my previous X3s. I like how fast the tailgate goes. It has ample room, and the opening is nice and wide. Here's the example of how much room there is. I have my camera bag here. You can see here, we'll just throw that in the back. And how fitting. This is a BMW bicycle, okay? And that easily fits in there if I wanted to. If I took the tonneau cover off, I could put this vertically and I could put a couple bikes in there. So if you need more room, of course, you can just fold those rear seats down. There are some release hooks. And talking about hooks, I do like how there is a grocery hook there. Seriously, it's the small things that matter to me, and hooks are good in the back so things don't fly around. On the inside, everything is right at hand. It's driver focused. The center dash area tilts toward the driver a little bit. Front and center, behind the steering wheel, you have what I like is a more traditional gauge setup. Even though it's digital, you have your speedometer and your tach. And what I'm not a huge fan of on the newer BMWs is their digital display has the tach going counterclockwise. So it goes toward the center. And I guess I'm just old school and I like it going clockwise for both. So that I am a fan of. You have a leather wrapped steering wheel, paddle shifters behind that, two M buttons, M1 and M2, we'll get to that in a little bit. This has the latest iDrive system, so you have your iDrive controller here, and you can use the dial, or you can actually just touch the screen. This is equipped with Apple CarPlay, and it's wireless as well. Then you get to the seats, which is one of my favorite things about BMW sports cars. They are very supportive. They have all sorts of adjustments, including thigh adjustments, which is a manual adjustment, which I'm fine with that. This M logo here actually lights up. One thing though, these are sport seats. The seat back itself is quite hard. I thought the lumbar was actually pumped up, and that was actually at the softest setting. So you gotta get kind of used to that if you're used to softer seats. You get carbon fiber finishes throughout the interior on this particular model. You have your traditional gear shift, and then to the side of that, you kind of have these hybrid buttons. They are actual tactile buttons, but they are kind of embedded into the console. Very easy to use. This X3M comes with a large panel roof, as well as heated and ventilated seats in the front, and heated rear seats as well. There is a lot of room back here. One thing this has, there's a little lever here and reclining rear seats. This is actually pretty good, but if you need some extra room, it is quite comfy. There are seat belts for 5 in this vehicle. I'd say 4 would be very comfortable. The kids have no problem in the back here, and you even have window shades if you need. But yeah, lots of headroom and legroom. I've looked around here quite a bit in the rear, and I cannot find a USB outlet, which I kind of find odd. There is your temperature control and you have your individual vents, but I just can't seem to find any USB outlets. Overall though, the interior is really well put together. Great fit and finish and great use of materials. All right, let's get to the meat of this X3M. You hear that nice burble or gurgle, however you want to call it. We are in basically just efficient mode right now. Suspension's on comfort, steering's comfort, so this is the default setting. And as soon as I sat in here, started up and drove, I noticed such a huge difference from this to the previous vehicle that I just drove, which was the BMW M4 Cabriolet. Now, the M4 Cab, great looking car, it's convertible. I love everything about it, except you really had to tune that vehicle to drive it right out of the box, let's say. That transmission, it was set to be super laggy and efficient, I guess, as soon as you started it up, and you had to crank everything up. So put that transmission into a more aggressive mode just so it would shift quicker. And yeah, when everything was dialed in, it was great. Another thing different, of course, is the engine. It's a 3-liter inline-6 twin turbo. Now, I've had inline 6 motors on all my BMWs. I'm a huge fan of them. This one is the most powerful inline 6 engine ever to be produced in an M vehicle. So this is the competition model. The regular version gets 473 horsepower. The competition, 503 horsepower, and torque is 442 pound-feet regardless of the standard X3M or the competition version that we have right now. The mid-range is just, it's so linear. The steering has a great feel. This has the M Servotronic electric power steering, very precise. It's a great rack that this has, and of course you can adjust it. Down below here we have, let's go into Sport. Now you go to Sport Plus, it makes a marked difference. I would say this would be good for use if you're on the Autobahn, I'd say. It makes it really stiff, almost to the point that you almost feel like you don't have no power steering. Transmission wise, you get an 8-speed automatic M Steptronic transmission. I prefer this over the dual clutch transmission in the M4 actually. Once again, you just get in it, it's ready to go. If you need more aggressive shifts, you can adjust right on the shifter. You can go plus or minus to make it more aggressive. And it's plenty quick, seriously. It sure would be great to take this vehicle onto a racetrack to see what it could really do. This does have the MX drive, which is the all-wheel drive system, but it is more of a rear bias system, which is kind of unconventional for an SUV, but definitely in the home of sports vehicles. It also has an active M differential in the rear that can be set to different levels to the point where you could pretty well drift this thing. I never ever got sick of my inline 6 turbo engines in my BMWs, and this one will not disappoint at all. You get into this thing, you want power, you want response, try this one out, seriously. I don't know what it is. You either forget you're actually driving an M vehicle because you are in an SUV. It's easy to get in and out of. There's 8 inches of ground clearance, so it's no sports car. Or you forget you're actually driving an X3 and you think you're driving an M3. It's so nimble. It's really impressive that it can be this capable in this type of a package. Just think you can go pick everyone up from school. It's quiet. You can make it even quieter if you turn that exhaust button down, but it'll do 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. That's pretty decent. You get 503 horsepower, remember. All right, so we have these red M buttons. We got M1, M2. You can configure them to however you want. You want to control, I want to confirm. Now I am in. Yeah, I hit M2 and that puts everything into Sport Plus. It turns a lot of the aids off as well. And we have a head-up display, which is a multicolor, multifunction display. I forgot to mention that we were talking about the inside. It's great. It's straight in your face. It's big. You can't miss it. Lets you keep your eyes on the road. Yeah, this is a very, very aggressive setting for sure. And we put those brakes on. Great brakes as well. Those 15.6-inch rotors in the front, 4-piston calipers. We're at a light again. Okay, that was not to the floor. That was to just over 100K. It does it effortlessly. The torque, the power band is so linear, it just continues to pull, and it has that great sound. I think I prefer this sound over the M4. The M4 has it's a very aggressive gurgle. It's just right for me. Now, as I said, right out of the box under default, it's pretty well good to go, but if you do want to customize anything, I have M1 customized right now. So a simple press of the M1, it turned off all that Sport Plus, and I have now in Sport mode for the engine. The suspension's in Comfort mode, and I have Sport steering. So it's not quite that as super hard, and I find this is a great setting to be in. Now, there is one caveat. This is personal preference, but I do find these adjustable dampers to be a little bit on the stiff side. Even in comfort mode, I'd say in comfort mode, it's actually as stiff, if not stiffer, than a lot of vehicles in sport mode. And I would like to have a little bit more of a variance between Comfort and Sport Plus, especially since this is an SUV. Maybe a sport coupe, you're usually driving it by yourself, solo, and with an SUV, you're probably going to be taking people in this, and it can be a little bit harsh. It's great for driving and sport driving. You can feel every single thing, you know, absolutely. But for everyday driving on everyday roads where you have a lot of expansion joints or just cracks in the road and potholes, it can really be quite jarring. So another vehicle that I just drove recently was the Mercedes-Benz, their AMG GLC 63S. Now that thing was a monster. It's about in the same class of vehicle as this. It also has 503 horsepower as well, but it derives its power from a V8 twin turbo. One thing that I love about those AMGs is the sound, especially from the V8. It's pretty hard to beat the sound of the AMG. So if it were my money and I was going to be either buying this or the AMG, they'd be pretty close. The only thing that I would say the AMG would win out, not just because of the sound, is the ride. I'd want a little bit more of a plusher ride like I mentioned earlier. However, if you go into the one model below this, let's say to the X3 M40i, which is still a 3-liter twin scroll turbo, and you compare that to the AMG GLC 43, they're about the same price as well, and I would definitely go with the inline 6 over the Mercedes AMG's V6 any day. This X3M envelops everything that M badge stands for. It's got straight out raw performance, it's got the luxury, it's got the sport. It may be a little bit stiff for my liking, but for a lot of people that are into sport driving, this is the one for you. This is an amazing vehicle and the best M vehicle that I've driven to date. I just don't know why it took BMW so long to come out with this vehicle. I guess it's better to be late than never. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up, and if you want to see more everyday reviews, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.